and together we grow. Now, from the misty mountains of the Drakensberg to the wind-swept, shall we say, Atlantic coast, and right here in the green home of KwaZulu-Natal. Hello, assalamu alaikum. The sugarcane is tall, the humidity is higher than my blood pressure, folks, here in Portugal, and the plants grow so fast. You better sleep with one eye open. So wherever you're joining us from, anywhere in the world, I know that if you know Radio Al Ansar, then you know that we are not just on radio, and that is 90.4 FM in Durban, 105.6 in Pietermaritzburg, but we audio stream around the world and we video stream. Yes, darlings, of course. You can go on to YouTube, Facebook, and all of the Instagram relations, and you can find us on Radio Al Ansar. I'm also live at the moment on TikTok, on my own TikTok, which is lifecoach.rabia, and you can find me there every Sunday during this show. So, now, I'm trying to get to my first segment, but, you know, my computer keeps going, kaping, kaping, and those are the messages coming in, because, yes, it is my born day today, folks. Yes, I was born on this beautiful day. Alhamdulillah. But we are talking foliage today. And here's what happened. So I went to a town yesterday called Braga, and it is an old town, and it is a Roman town. So today I thought, how wonderful would it be to give you some Roman gardening tips? And how beautiful would it be to talk about some really good, tried and tested gardening tips, and also to debunk some of the myths that are going on. How awesome would that be? Would it be? Yes, it would be, indeed. Now, you know where to get hold of us, and you can find us on 060-904-1056 on WhatsApp. Keep those messages coming in. You know, I love to hear from you all, and we are going to start off, before we look at those wonderful tips and hacks, which I promise you, even if you are not a fully fledged gardener and just getting your kind of fingers into the soil, you're still going to enjoy. Message coming in from Sandy, of course. Happy birthday, sweetie. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, life goes by way too fast. That's all I can say to you. The weather, whether we like it or whether we don't, is part of our show. And so, Joburg weather, if you're up in Joburg, today you have a lovely day. It is 20 degrees maximum. But tomorrow, folks, brace yourselves, because the rain is coming and it ain't going to go away until Sunday. You're going to have a rainy week with only Wednesday as a day of sun. So make sure that those pots are not sitting, your pot plants are not sitting in water. Tip them over. Can you hear the bird? Yes. There are birds here where I am. Looking into Durban. Durban is still raining this week, folks. I know we've had a lot of rain in Durban, but the weather is beautiful. 25 degrees today, 26 degrees tomorrow. And of course, we've got Tuesday sunny, Wednesday sunny, and then some more rain, because why not, right? We've got to have rain and we've got to have some sun. If you're in Cape Town, though, it's sunny all week long. Wonderful, balmy weather. Sunshine and roses. And speaking of sunshine and roses, it was actually a very balmy, warm day when I went off to Braga yesterday. Yes. So I want to start with the foundation, because Braga is an old town that is so full of Roman digs, right? That you can literally find out anything you want to about the Roman Empire. Now, a while ago, I heard that most men think about ancient Rome at least once a day. I don't know if it's true, but brothers out there, sisters out there, for the brothers, if you think of ancient Rome, you need to let us know. For the sisters, if you know that your husband is thinking about ancient Rome, you need to let us know. We want to know. Let's do a poll here in Radio Al Ansar land, 060-904-1056. The WhatsApp number. Ladies, you may be surprised to find this. So ask your men. Come on, go and ask him. Do you ever think, or how often do you think of Rome? I was shocked to hear myself, having surveyed my friends and family, most of them, except for two, think of ancient Rome every day. My son said to me, Mom, of course I think of ancient Rome every day. Driving on the street, I think of how the roads were paved in ancient Rome. Going to the bathroom, I think about the plumbing and the aqueducts. I'm like, why would you think of ancient Rome all the time? So I want to start by asking Brother Siboniso in studio. He's in studio in South Africa while I'm here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Siboniso, can you hear me?
Yeah, walaikum salam.
How are you? Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
I'm good. A very special happy birthday. Shout out going out to you. May Allah grant you many more years. Good, healthy, happiness, endless blessing.
Jazakallah, inshallah, Ameen. I want to find out from you, Brother Siboniso, do you ever think of Rome, ancient Rome, the Romans Empire?
Nope.
There we go, one that does not think about the Roman Empire. Hurrah, hooray, because I'd never think about the Roman Empire. I was shocked to hear, pardon, of so many people that think of the Roman Empire every day. Some other messages that came in that said, yes, I think of the Roman Empire regularly. Who wouldn't? Well, I don't. So speaking of the Roman Empire, though, I did think about it. Because, you know, Siboniso, the Romans started a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And gardening was no exception, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, they used clay pots. They didn't have fantastic plastic like we have now. So they used clay pots. And did you know that if you are in Durban, you should ideally use terracotta, which is clay pots? But do you know why? No, because it's going to let out some of that water, excess water. So the Romans did a lot of stuff. So Siboniso, today, you're going to help me on your end with a few nasheeds now and there, because I think it'll be lovely to keep our listeners engaged with these beautiful nasheeds. But I do have some awesome tips, and we're going to bust some myths this morning. How's that? We're going to bust some gardening myths.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy, yes. So firstly, the Romans, right? They used terracotta pots. They did do companion garden already way back when. Okay, they were composting before we even knew the word composting in the rest of the world. The Romans were composting, organic amendments with fertilizers. They were doing crop rotation. But guess what? It wasn't just the Romans. We must remember the old Arab Empire, the older Arab Empire, our Muslim brothers and sisters way back when. They also, I mean, there's been so many advancements. We could write a book about them, and there actually are many books written about them. But I want to talk about dirt on dirt, from clay to the Kalahari, okay? We were talking now about the rain, the rainy weather. We were talking about the terracotta pots, and yes, if you're in KwaZulu-Natal, ideally garden with terracotta pots, not the plastic pots. Now, people will say, if you've got clayey soil, your soil is clayey, add sand to the soil and it's going to fix the drainage. What is the verdict on that myth? Dun, 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 dun. It is false. It's false. Adding sand to clay soil is not going to fix your drainage issues. No, indeed it is not. Whether you're in KwaZulu-Natal's red clay or you're in the tough stuff from Gauteng, sand and clay means, hey, Mkaya, you're making low-grade concrete. That's what you're making. You need a jackhammer just to plant a petunia. So, unless you're going to be building a rondavel in your garden, stop it. Use your compost instead. Compost is where to go to fix your soil drainage. Of course, you can add things like vermiculite and perlite as well, but it's the compost. Now, here's another one. Siboniso, if I'm planting a pot plant and I put rocks at the bottom of the pot, and we all do this, right? And I do it too. And I was talking to a gardener yesterday who said to me, don't do it. I said, what do you mean don't do it? We always teach, put stones at the bottom of the pot for drainage. Guess what? Do you think it's true or false, Vanessa? No, it's false. I'll tell you why. A Apparently, when you put stones at the bottom of a pot, what you're creating is a perched table. Who'd have thunk it? It means the water table in your pot, right? The water at the bottom actually doesn't go down to the rocks. It's called a swamp in a bucket. That's what I was told. That the water doesn't like the rocks, so it stays up by the soil. So the more rocks you're putting at the bottom of the pot, the more you're actually raising the water level. Unless it's raining where it's literally pouring down through the rocks. Usually, it creates your swamp in a bucket. So here's one. Water's like a taxi on a Friday afternoon traffic at Warwick Junction on the M1. It refuses to move into the rocks. It sits there rotting your roots, so don't do it. If you do want to use stones in pots, do this. Put the stones on the floor, and then put your pot that's got full of good quality potting soil, compost, all of that stuff on top of the rocks. That way, the water goes right down to the bottom of the pot through the soil, and then it drains out the holes onto the rocks and not onto a flat surface on the floor. How's that? That completely threw me yesterday. When I heard that, I thought, oh, no way, Jose, that cannot be. But in fact, it is. It is science. Science. Don't put stones at the bottom of your bucket. Rather line your bucket with cloth, fill it with your potting soil, your good potting soil mixed with your compost and blah, blah, blah. Then take your pot and put it on top of either little feet, not your feet that a pot can rest on all the time, pot feet, or stones. That's where you put your stones so that it can then drain out. How's about that, huh? I bet you didn't know that. I want to know from our listeners, how many of you knew that you don't put stones in your pots? I've been teaching that all along. It is wrong, mea culpa. I did not know this. Yes. Myth number 3. It's one of the ladies said to me the other day, I actually take sand from the beach and then I wash it and then I use it to grow my succulents. But they're not doing very well. I thought, well, beach sand equals salt. Salt kills plants. That's why. What you're doing is you're not planting your succulents. You're making pickle. You're pickling your succulents. Don't do that. Your succulents, your cactus is not acha. It is cactus. So that's it. Go and get yourself some lovely river sand, and there you go. The other thing is people will say potting soil lasts forever. So they put a pot in the ground, they put the soil in the pot, and they forget about it. The plants are there, the water's there. They'll just magically get water and they'll magically get food. No. After 1 year, that potting soil, hey, katel, it's tired and it's compacted. Yeah, it's trying to run a marathon on bread. You can't run a marathon on bread alone. No. Energy left. And then, so I've combined for everybody today. If you're wondering what on earth is going on Green Thumbs Up, I've combined all these myths, all these tips, all these tricks in terms of gardening for you. And if you are somewhere near a phone, please WhatsApp us. I believe that there is a little bit of a distance. I hope you can hear me better now. If you are, let us know how many of these tips you knew about and how many of these myths you knew were actually false. So, potted plants need a salt layer for slugs. That's another thing people say. We need a layer of salt on the pots so that as slugs walk along, they die, or snails. No, again, you are pickling your plants. Salt ruins the soil's plant's ability it ruins the root's ability to absorb nutrients, and it ruins the plant's ability to hold water. Okay, not only that, but it's going to kill off all of the good microbes that are in your pots. So don't do it either. No salt. If you're wanting to get rid of slugs or snails, then what you're needing is not salt on your pots. What you're needing is a little bowl. Get yourself a little glass bowl with yeast, water, sugar, as if you're making bread, okay? And bury that pot so that the top of the pot is visible, so that the slugs and the snails can crawl on your pots and be attracted to that and then just dive in. They bomb dive in and they can't get out. And then you can catch them and you can move them to a place where they're not going to damage your garden, or of course you can add them to your compost heap. Yes, snail shells are really great for your plants. It's a great compost. Now here's another thing. If you are adding coffee grounds, you're adding coffee grounds to your plants. And I always talk about the importance of coffee grounds for soil. Yes, very important. However, don't just take them out the packet and put them in the soil. Or don't just harvest them from your coffee machine and put them into the soil. You actually want to get those coffee grounds a little bit rotted. You want to let them stand for a little while, and then you can put them into the soil in order to improve the soil. Okay, so coffee grounds are best used in that way. If you can put them into your compost, put them into your compost. It's brilliant. That's a wonderful way to use your coffee grounds. If you're going to use coffee grounds to make your compost tea, that's another wonderful way to use your coffee grounds. So compost tea, what is it? Literally what it sounds like. It's a liquid, a tea of things like coffee and tea bags and guano. Bat guano works brilliantly in there, and eggshells, and it sits in a bucket. And every day you go and you mix that bucket. You must mix it because you're not trying to, create rot. You're trying to get it to compost beautifully. That'll be awesome for your plants as well. Compost tea can make your plants grow really, really big. So those are some of the tips. In terms of your pots, and I said to you those, if you put rocks under your pots, definitely. If you've got pots sitting on a hot patio in Uppington or Nelspruit, what happens? The concrete are boiling those roots like a kebab. Those roots are touching the ground there. They're boiling up like a kebab. You've got to lift the pots off of those hot tiles, okay? If you have a soil that's gone hard because you're up in the Free State, okay, or you're in the Western Cape at a time when it's really, really hot, your soil can get hard like a brick. You've got to poke that with a skewer before you water your pots. Otherwise, the water's just draining off. It's going to visit your neighbors. It's not going to visit your plants at all. Not at all. So there's a few tips and tricks. We're going to come back with many more, but our time flies and I see it's already 9:30. So let's take an ad break. We'll come back from the ad break with a nasheed. Our brother Siboniso in studio is going to give us a beautiful nasheed for us. And then we are going to get stuck back into these tips and tricks and myths. And you're sending us some. So thank you for those. I'll read those out in a little while. Let's take that ad break and we'll be back right after.
WhatsApp us now on 060 904 1056.
Radio
Any of
Alansar.
you know about those tips and tricks?
Drink 55.
At the new Checkers Saxon Westwood, you'll find everything from our signature steakhouse classic cuts, expertly aged and ready for the braai. Try something exclusive like our Simple Truth certified lamb, responsibly sourced, free range, and raised without added growth hormones or promoters. Checkers Saxony Westwood, butchery, bakery, and deli, certified by the NIHT. Doors open on October 30th. See you there.
Every day, thousands go to bed hungry, but you can change that. With just 10 Rand, you can provide a loaf of bread. This bread is more than just a donation, it is a lifeline for so many families in need. Be part of the Alansar Outreach Slice of Life drive today. Call Outreach on 031 208 1601 and make a difference one loaf at a time.
اللهم بارك لنا في رجب وشعبان وبلغنا رمضان وبلغنا رمضان اللهم بارك لنا في رجب وشعبان وبلغنا رمضان وبلغنا رمضان.
We'd love to meet you. Pay us a visit. Radio Al Ansar.
My youth passed by so quickly, left all my dreams in the backseat. We used to dream with paper planes, wrapped in a cape, planning our escape. Scars on my skin, learned from my mistakes. Tears in my eyes, wiped up from my face. The time disappears till I hear my name. 'Cause mama calling out, I'm so far late. The older I get, the harder I fall. My dreams were so big, even though I was small. I was told that I can't, but I'm still gonna try. I'm up in the clouds, with no wings I'ma fly. Oh, fly away, hey, hey, fly away, hey, hey, fly away, hey, hey, fly away. Oh, fly.
And we're back with Green Thumbs Up. We are back with Green Thumbs Up. That's a Gardening and Natural Living show. I'm Rabia Kadwali. If we haven't met, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It is very, very, very early here today. And during the break, I was reading some comments and also going through some tips that our ladies have sent us. And when I say our ladies, I actually have a little gardening group, which I've run for a very long time. And someone on the group said something this week, which is what got me inspired to do this show of tips, tricks, myths, and things. And she did, get this, she's taken a 20-liter bucket, and then with that 20-liter bucket, she's drilled holes into it all around the bucket. She's buried it in her yard, but the ground is open above it. So here you have, you're walking along, there's a hole in the ground, that's the bucket. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza, yes there is. And she puts her compost scraps in there, and then she puts a lid on. So I thought that was fascinating. That's a nice way to keep everything in one place. She composts underground. You can use the same bucket above ground, but you know what's going to happen then is you're going to get a lot of fruit flies. You're going to get a lot of flying insects, right? And so I thought, what a wonderful, wonderful idea. And that got me thinking about these insects that fly around in the compost heaps. And then that got me thinking about something else that I didn't know about. And I thought, I have to tell you about it. Did you know, in South Africa, there is a wasp, okay? There is a wasp. It's creepier. The story is creepier than, I don't know, Tokaloshi under the bed. So listen to this. It's called a pompilid wasp. This wasp, a spider wasp it is. Guess what she does? She gets herself a spider, a big spider, like a rain spider, okay? And then she stings it. The wasp stings the spider. It has to be a big spider. Now, the spider, it's still alive, it's still breathing, but it's paralyzed. And it becomes a zombie. So she lays an egg on the spider by burrowing into the spider. So first she stings it, now it's paralyzed. Now she makes a little hikey in the spider, or she goes into where the spider's little body interconnects, the segments interconnect, and she lays an egg there on the belly. And then she seals up. And guess what happens? The baby hatches and it starts to eat that spider alive from the inside. it does not eat the spider's heart. So that spider remains alive. That must be the worst way to go, let's just say. But she eats that spider alive from the inside. But while that spider is alive, okay, while that spider is alive, the spider's brain is turned into a zombie. And the spider starts to create a nest that is the kind of nest that the wasp can use to cocoon itself when it goes from a larva into an actual wasp. How's that? You know, like you get silkworms. Our kids all have silkworms, and the silkworms make a cocoon, and the cocoon becomes a wasp. So the caterpillar becomes a moth, right? Well, guess what? This is another thing that happens, is that the wasp needs a cocoon. And so the wasp larva is eating the spider is making the cocoon for it, and then when it is ready to go into the cocoon, that wasp larva eats the heart of the spider, effectively killing it. As its last meal, the heart of the spider, it can then go ahead and turn into a wasp and do it all over again. So sometimes people will find these spiders, and it happens with widow spiders and brown spiders. Any spider that is big enough for certain wasps, these spider wasps, to sting, that's what they do. Make a little hole in the belly, or make a little hole in the joint, lay the egg in there, seal it up, and there you go. I'm sure that is something that not a lot of listeners know about. It's like a fridge that's also food. The spider. Nature's proper mole, né? Yeah, it's mole. Absolutely. Here's another thing. People will think eggshells stop snails. So not just the salt, but eggshells stop snails. No. Snails' bellies are like a Hilux tire. It's not going to break when it walks on eggshells. It's bumpy, but they're still going to go for the ice cream. Yep, they're still going to go for it. You need to get rid of snails, you're going to need to have them eat something or drown in something. And that's why those little pots with the non-alcoholic beer or the sugar and the water and the yeast work very, very well. They're slightly buried. The other thing you can do is throw some bricks or tiles on the floor. And as it rains, the snails kind of hide under there. So in the morning you go, you lift them up, you get those snails, and then you can rehome them. And you don't have to get rid of them. You can move them to a part of the garden where snails can enjoy stuff. Snails do move though, so keep a lookout on especially things like arum lilies, because snails love arum lilies. Now, watering in the sun. Here's another myth. Watering in the sun burns leaves. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's like if you're hot and you go and take a shower. That's it. The leaves are not going to burn in the sun, so you can water the leaves. What can happen if you are watering in high heat is it is not very water friendly. So the water is going to evaporate from the soil. Absolutely. The other thing that's going to happen is your plants may feel a little drunk. Yes, a lot of water, the very hot plant, and so they sweat profusely, and so it's not ideal to water plants in high heat. But let's face it, if it were true that watering in the sun burns leaves, then our Valley of 1,000 Hills in KwaZulu-Natal or the Free State would be on fire every time that it rains at lunch. Like really, it would be. So no, not true. Talking to plants helps them grow because they feel the love. Is this a myth? Is it true? What is it? Talking to plants makes them grow. Actually, yeah, it does. Plants do not feel the way we feel, but they pick up on vibrations. And this is where healing comes in and vibrational frequencies come in. Plants pick up on vibrational frequencies. There's tests being done where you take a tree, you take a lettuce, you kibosh the lettuce, you schmack it up. In the meantime, you're measuring the vibrational frequencies in the tree. That tree's going, oh, shame, no. It doesn't like it. plants have feelings, but not only that, when you're talking to your plants, what you're doing is you're exhaling carbon dioxide, and plants take in carbon dioxide in the daytime. They're drinking in what you're exhaling. So you're like giving them a power shake. You're standing there and say, hello. And they love it. They're drinking in that carbon dioxide. That is why they love it. Now, for powdery mildew, here's a tip. Someone's asking, what to do about powdery mildew? I always say milk for powdery mildew. Your milk spray is 1 part of milk to 5 parts of water. If it's on your orchids, you can actually just take half milk, half water, and with a cotton wool, you can wipe down your orchid leaves. If it's on your anthuriums, you can wipe it down. In fact, I use that milk and water on my anthurium leaves just to feed it, because milk is a wonderful feed for anthuriums. They love it, and they reward you with lots of lovely, lovely flowers. And then, of course, Durban, here's another tip. Monkeys. People say, what do I do with the monkeys? Please don't pellet shoot them. Don't shoot the monkeys with anything at all. If the primates are driving you crazy, you need to plant rue, R-U-E. The Harry Potter name is Ruta Gradiolens. Plant in rue. They hate that smell. It's like no-go spray for the primates. They don't like it. So plant lots of rue. If you have a vegetable garden, be sure not to plant the rue in the vegetable garden, because then your monkeys don't like it, but neither do your vegetables, and then your vegetables are not great. So put your rue into pots. Put the pots out. That's going to keep your monkeys and your baboons away. So this works for people in the Cape as well. Here's another thing. People say, I'm watering and I'm watering and I'm watering, and it's just evaporating. Go low, water the base. So don't water necessarily the leaves, not because it's going to damage the leaves, but water the soil, drip water. Reticulation is a great thing if you can do it. It's not expensive. You can lay out some pipe in the ground over, over your plants, and then every now and there you can get the little top pipe or the standing pipes, and then you get the little nozzle sprayer, and you just put a tap connector on the back. You can have that going over pots. You can have that going over your ground. It works extremely, extremely well. And not to forget, of course, that mulch is magic. Mulch everything that you can. We're going to take a quick little nasheed here. Brother Siboniso has a nasheed lined up for us in studio. So whenever you're ready, Brother Siboniso, bring on that nasheed for our listeners. We need a little wonderful break. Let's do that.
Getting you through your day. Radio Al Ansar.
The Shahada, the Salah, the Zakat, the fasting, the
Martin. This is Martin.
The Shahada, the Salah, the fasting,
Martin. This is Martin. Once upon a time, I fell in love with her. Everything I did just for her. She was my queen, our love was like a movie. Didn't wanna cut the thing. She was my day, I was her night. She was my right, I was her die. She was my soul, I was her mate. We'd be together till the end. But then she took a knife in my back. She broke my heart into many pieces. I hear you saying, oh, what's a cliche? But you both won't take away the pain. Nothing made no sense to me. You were meant for me. Yeah. Then my life took a crazy mad turn now. I hit rock bottom and I tapped out. My babe, got me through it. My babe, help me. Can I tell you something about this girl that I knew? She was so fake like a Tory, and I knew that. But look at me thinking she was all that. Yeah, Yeah, I was trapped in the dunya's love, and everything was a game. When you play me, then I found my king's true love, and nothing ever was the same. Everything made sense to me. It was destiny. Yeah, had to go through those ups and downs now. Then I found my Allah and I bowed down. My faith got me through it. My faith got me through it. Oh, my faith is the only thing that helped me. I prayed to Allah and He saved me. Now I'm winning cause I got my faith. The match made me find my faith. And if you wanna know about my deen, we have one God, that's my deen. And our final messenger, that's my deen. The Quran and the Sunnah, that's my deen.
Okay, welcome back to Green Thumbs Up. We're talking about tips in the garden, myths in the garden, and there's been a few that have come in the meantime. I've been reading them out as I go. So coffee grounds are a miracle nitrogen boost. Yes, they are, but fresh grounds are actually quite acidic, and that's why the fresh grounds are not really great. You're giving your plants a caffeine overdose. So if you're actually going to use fresh grounds, then you're going to be stealing nitrogen from the soil to break it down. So small quantities. If you've got leftover coffee, you can throw that into your plants, but always dilute it. That's why the dilution is so important. Okay. Plastic pots in Durban, all my pots are plastic. Yes, all your pots are plastic, that's fine. Ensure that there's enough drainage. On the days where it gets super, super, super hot, I have found that if you line the inside of your pots, recycle, don't go and buy bubble wrap. But if there is any bubble wrap at home that you've gotten from stuff, keep it to recycle it and line the inside of your plastic pots, because it keeps some of that heat away, and it deflects the heat so that the roots of the plants are kept healthy. Can I grow my fruit trees in pots? Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can grow your fruit trees in pots. The bigger the pot, the better the pot for fruit trees, because fruit trees range in terms of height. When you're getting a fruit tree, consider how long it takes for that fruit to grow. Some people will message me and say, Rabia, I've had my plant for such a long time, but it's not giving me fruit. And I say, well, how long is a long time? No, it's been a year. Well, some plants take a lot longer. If you've got like a jaboticaba, you love exotic fruits, you're talking about 10 years. So if you've got a lychee tree, that might be 5 years before the thing fruits. So be patient. Gardening is an exercise in faith and patience. Because honestly, you never, ever, ever know when your plants are going to fruit. If you have them in the pots, make sure that you're feeding them nitrogen in the springtime, nitrogen so that they can get new leaves, but also give them that little bit of magnesium so that they can start to flower or to hold the flower longer. So your NPK, your N, your P, your K goes throughout the seasons. You start with the nitrogen higher. When it starts to flower, you have one that's higher in the P. That's your potassium. And then as it goes into fruit, you have one that's higher in the K, which is your phosphorus. So your N, P, and your K. That's how it works throughout the year. So talking about the plants for anxiety, let's talk a little bit about Nature's Apothecary, right? Nature's Apothecary is our segment where we talk about healing with herbs. Always, I give the disclaimer, this is for educational purposes. Make sure that you always consult with your medical practitioner, because plants can and will interact with medication that you're on. For example, St. John's wort. Everybody takes St. John's wort. It's like the first thing that I'm feeling depressed, or I'm feeling anxiety. Take some St. John's wort or take some ashwagandha. But folks, St. John's wort and ashwagandha can interact with quite a few prescription drugs, not the least of which is oral contraceptives. You know what you call a lady that drinks St. John's wort? Mom. because it's going to do away with the effect of the oral contraceptives. If you're on antidepressants, they can also interfere with those. So always check with your doctor if you're taking St. John's wort or ashwagandha. Chamomile, if you are on blood thinners. Everybody talks about chamomile tea. It's wonderful, but chamomile can interact with your blood thinners and increase the risk of bleeding. So if you are not diabetic, if you have high cholesterol and you get put onto statins, so now your blood is thinner, or you have hypercoagulation, so you're on blood thinners, or you've had a heart issue, so you're on blood thinners, chamomile tea is not a great one for you because you're going to have a risk of blood thinners. And yet it's wonderful for calming. For pregnant moms, chamomile tea is one that you can drink, not too strong though. But if you're not pregnant and you're wanting to get to sleep at night, the secret is 2 tea bags of the chamomile tea. Put those 2 tea bags into a cup of boiling water. Let it stand for 10, 15 minutes even. Make a nice strong cup. Add a little bit of honey if you want because it's soothing, and then have that before bed. Within half an hour, you're going to wonder why you haven't done it before, because it really, really does work. But do it on a day that you don't have to wake up really early in the morning, because if you're taking those 2 tea bags of chamomile, it's going to knock you out properly, good and proper. Now, with the cortisol level so high, with the stress that we go through, we need a few different herbs. One of them is lemon balm. Lemon balm is one of my favorites. It is one that will also mess with your cycle. In other words, if you're on oral contraceptives, it may interfere with that. But lemon balm regulates your GABA system. So it gives you a sense of calm. It's going to help you to sleep. It's going to reduce your anxiety. And you can put lemon balm, you can sprinkle it onto cake frostings. If you've ground it up into a powder, there's many uses for it. You can sprinkle it onto your salad. So if you don't like tea, but you want to be calm, lemon balm. Or perhaps if your wife or your husband is very anxious and they like the taste of lemon, sprinkle that stuff, lemon balm. They're going to ingest it and just feel calmer. Why not? Okay. Now some studies actually have shown evidence of lessening anxiety symptoms for children that are studying. So if you have kids, any child below the age of 12 years old, make sure you dilute heavily. So from 2 years old to 6 years old, you're taking like a quarter cup of the ready-made tea and you're diluting that with a cup of water. As the child gets older, less dilution. From the time that they are 12, they can then have the lemon balm tea. And it tastes really nice. It tastes like lemon. That's what it does. Passion flower as well. So passion flower increases the neurotransmitters in the brain that promote relaxation, and you can use passion flower as well. There's been clinical trials saying that it also helps for restlessness, nervousness. So if you have restless legs, that's different. That's your magnesium. Magnesium helps for those restless legs. And then your passion flower will help for your general nervous states. Lavender, folks, lavender. We've spoken about lavender so many times. Lavender contains let me get this name right because my tongue gets stuck on it. Linalool or linalool. It contains, here we go again, linalool and linalool acetate in lavender. Linalool acetate. Try saying that 3 times in a row. And they actually have a calming effect on the chemical receptors in the brain. So that is why you get these baby shampoos and these baby bubble baths with lavender in, because it does have a calming effect. And it's not just for the littlies, it's also for us. A few drops of lavender essential oil on the pillow, wonderful. A few drops of lavender essential oil on a cotton bud, and then wipe your light bulb for your night lamp. Wipe the light bulb and turn on the light. You'll find that lavender smell just diffuses into the air and just is very calming. We've spoken about chamomile as well. And then ashwagandha. Now, ashwagandha is a different one because it's not going to calm you down by calming your nervous receptors. It's going to calm you down by helping to balance cortisol hormone in your body. Okay, so it's also an adaptogen. So it's going to help to balance cortisol, but it's going to also help to balance your adrenaline cortisol levels. Almost like, in the 80s, those stereos where you had to push the little buttons up and some buttons down to fix the balance. That is what your ashwagandha is going to do. But ashwagandha, which you can take in capsules, in powder, or even in liquid form, is actually quite hard on the kidneys if you're drinking a lot of ashwagandha. Okay, so go slow on the ashwagandha and always consult with your medical practitioners. So that's it from me. I'm going to go off and enjoy the rest of a beautiful day here in Porto. We have lovely weather today. And today is a beautiful day to be happy, as is every single day, a beautiful day to be happy. Thank you for spending this time with me. Jazakallah khair for taking the time to spend here with us on Green Thumbs Up. It is the last day of the souk, so if you haven't been to the Durban Summer Souk, best you get yourself down there because there are wonderful things. And I can tell you, on the last day of the Durban Summer Souk, you get massive, massive sales because the stall holders want to get rid of the stock that they bought up, and there's all the stock. So go in and get those specials down in Durban. If you're not in Durban, it's only a short drive, 7 hours from Joburg. You'll still be there on time for the Durban Souk before it closes. So it's the last day. Have fun all, and we will see you next week on Green Thumbs Up from me and from Brother Sibonisi in studio and the entire team at Radio Al Ansar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
لك الحمد يا